best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. My name is Iven Streckel, and for the next half hour we're going to be talking about cars. We have been doing this show going on 23 years, and by the way, this is coming to you live from downtown Pensacola at the Co-Works Annex, and this is also being streamed on Facebook. So if you got a question or you want to watch the show on Facebook, you can watch it live. And again, Frontier Motors, we are an independent used car lot that has been in business for over 23 years now. And one of the things that we talk about is a little bit about Frontier Motors and also what's going on in the auto industry. And the results are in for last year, for 2019. They just fresh off the presses. 7 times in a row now that we have hit 17 million sales in new cars for 7 times now. The strongest year ever was in 2016 when we hit 17.5 million cars. And last year we cracked it again at 17.1 million vehicles. And the interesting thing about that, 72% of those sales were SUVs and pickup trucks. That's 12,300,000 sales just in trucks and SUVs. And the interesting thing also, in 2015, they sold 4.6 million cars. Last year, it was 2.8 million cars. So what's happening, folks, is that it's shifting from cars to crossovers to SUVs and pickup trucks. And what that means to you is if you're looking for a car, you're going to get a phenomenal deal because there are not that many people buying cars anymore. Matter of fact, I told you on the last show that Ford has discontinued all their cars other than the Mustang and the Ford Focus E. So that's very interesting that the Fusion, the Fiesta, the Taurus, all their cars are history. And the reason is because more people are going up to the small crossovers. The interesting thing also is that the average crossover is almost $7,000 more than the average small car, which means that there are still going to be people that are going to need to buy small cars, whatever is left of them, because of the pricing. And which is very interesting that SUVs are that much more, but people don't care because they're selling like hotcakes. The other thing that's interesting is that the Ford F-150 has been the #1 selling vehicle in the United States for as long as I can remember. I think maybe 15 years ago, it used to be the Camry. But about 15 years ago, the Ford F-150 topped the ranks. It's been there ever since. Last year, they sold almost 900,000 F-150s, the #1 selling truck in the nation, the #1 selling vehicle in the nation. And #2 wasn't a car. #2 was the Ram pickup truck. For the first time ever, the Ram was #2. They sold 633,000 Ram pickup trucks. And that is an 18% increase. Unbelievable what they're doing. First time ever, they've taken over the Chevy Silverado in top sales. And by the way, the Silverado is still a very good selling vehicle. 575,000 Chevy Silverados were sold last year, 230,000 GMCs, and I'm surprised they don't add the GMCs and the Silverados together because they're basically the same vehicle. And if you add them together, even the two together, GMC and Chevy, Ford still outsold them. And then the Toyota Tundra had 111,000, which is really interesting because Consumer Reports ranks the Toyota as one of the best as far as reliability, but they don't rank it the best as far as sales. And why do people buy an F-150 over Tundra? I really don't know the answer. The nice thing about being an independent dealer like Frontier Motors is that we sell all makes and models. We have the Nissan on the Titans on the lot. We have the Tundras, and of course we have the Chevy, the GMC, and the Ram, and the Ford. So we have them all lined up, and when you come to Frontier Motors, it's almost like going to a car show because you can look at every make and model without having jumped from dealership to dealership to dealership. Extremely important for the person that doesn't have a lot of time and doesn't really want to be bothered with the hassle of having to go to 5 or 6 different dealerships if they're going to check out 6 different vehicles, because then you've got to talk to 6 salespeople, probably 6 managers. They're going to want all your information. Then you're going to be inundated with phone calls and emails. You know how that goes. Stop at one dealership and shop at one dealership that's not going to hassle you, that's going to let you shop at your leisure. Matter of fact, our salespeople at Frontier Motors unlock every single car every morning. The reason they do that is so that you can shop at your leisure. We can give you a price list. So if you want to just browse the lot, be able to sit in a vehicle, because the second most important thing, other than the vehicle itself, the way it looks, is how does it feel when you slip behind the seat? Can you see? Is the steering wheel in the right position? How is the blind spot? Can you see over the dashboard? So there's a lot of things that are going to be determined when you sit in a vehicle. Most dealerships keep their vehicles locked on purpose. Not because of security, not because they're afraid you're going to steal the car. It's because they want to make you feel obligated that when the salesman goes back and forth 15 times to get keys for vehicles, you're going to think they're working so hard, now you got to buy from them, which is a stupid old sales ploy. I hope you don't fall for that. And that's why we unlock our vehicles every day, to make it easy for you, that especially if you're on your lunch hour and you want to look at 10 different vehicles, you can do it in a matter of minutes, as far as at least sitting behind the wheel. And at that point also, we will give you what I call something unusual in the car business, and that is an out-the-door price in writing, where you don't have to do the back and forth thing. You tell the salesman, this is the one I'm interested in, give me your best possible deal. The salesman will go to the manager, and we will look up our cost. We'll put a small profit on that. We'll add the taxes, the doc fee, the tag transfer. We'll put it in writing and circle it, and then we'll hand it to you, and we'll let you shop. Now, the way that we can do this, folks, is because we don't want you to buy somewhere else. The way that we can do this is by offering a superior product at a good price. We don't always have the best price, but if our price isn't the best price out there, it's because we've got the best conditioned vehicle. In other words, no scratches, clean history report, doesn't smell. Those are all very important things. Maybe the most equipment on a vehicle, maybe the best color, or maybe the lowest mileage. So you put that all together, it doesn't necessarily translate in always the best price, but in the best deal. And I think most people can smell out a good deal versus a bad deal. A lot of times it has to do with the smell when you open the door. If it smells, you're going to walk away. I'm very careful not to buy vehicles that I can't see. In other words, I can give bids on vehicles I can't see, but I don't buy it. Even at auctions, there's a lot of dealerships that don't even have a buyer anymore because they do it from their computer. You can click and buy a car on your computer these days without having to go to Orlando, without having to go to Manheim, Pennsylvania, which, by the way, is the largest auction in the world, is Manheim, Pennsylvania. The first Manheim auction was there. Manheim is the largest auction chain in the world. We happen to have a Manheim auction right here, over here on W Street. The second largest Manheim auction is in Orlando, but I send a buyer down there every week. He actually drives, he lives in Atlanta. He drives to Orlando every week because I want him to smell the car. To me, that's really important. I don't want to buy a car and get it back and have to defumigate it. People can see past that, so we buy non-smoking cars. We run a history report on every single car before we buy it to find out how many owners did it have, was there any issues, did it have any accidents, are there problems that I want to be aware of that I can get off the history report. And the history reports are getting better and better and better, which, by the way, if you're going to buy a vehicle from a private individual, make sure you call Frontier Motors. Give us the ID number of the car. That's the second 17-digit ID number, identification number. It's on the door and it's on the windshield. If you give us that ID number, we will run the Carfax at no charge for you. A Carfax report is $40. Why not save 40 bucks? Call us. When we put it in our computer, the way that sometimes I can get a sale is, number one, I can tell you if it's a bad Carfax. that might have me get a sale if I had the same car in stock with a good Carfax report. But let's say it's a good Carfax. Let's say it's a one-owner vehicle, no accident. It's still under warranty. There's no issues. Well, my computer will also tell me what I can sell that exact car for. And I can share that information with you so that if you're buying it from a private individual, or even if it's another dealer, I can tell you, hey, I can sell that car for $22,500. By the way, what are they asking? So if they're asking $24,500, you can use my information by going back to the individual and saying, hey, Frontier Motors can sell me this exact car with the same mileage on it for $2,000 less. And you can get them to drop their price. Now, if they don't, that's where we come in and we end up getting a sale out of it. So that's one of the reasons that I do that is, number one, to provide a service, because perhaps you're buying a relative's car. Maybe it's your neighbor's car. Maybe it's a really good deal, and I'll tell you if it's a really good deal, but why not get the information at no charge through Frontier Motors? The other thing that I always bring along is my friend Dave Ramsey, who does a commercial for us, and I really am proud because he picked us. We didn't call up Dave and say, hey Dave, would you do a commercial for us? He came into the Pensacola area and he said, I'm gonna pick one dealer that I'll do a testimonial from. He picked Frontier Motors, so I'm kind of proud that he talks about Frontier Motors the way he does. And he's been doing this over a decade. I wanna share the information with you.
Hey, Pensacola, Dave Ramsey here. Thinking of buying a brand new car? Well, that's a big mistake. Last year, the average new car was $36,000, and the first year depreciation was 27%. That equates to a whopping $9,200. Go to the dealer that specializes in low mileage, 1-year-old cars and trucks. My friends at Frontier Motors. They're a used car dealer that I'm proud to recommend. Frontier will save you money over the price of a new car and make the usually dreaded car buying experience a whole lot more enjoyable. They've been serving the Pensacola community for 23 years, and they do much more than just sell cars. Replacement value, diminished value after an accident, Carfax reports, appraisals, help with paperwork for private transactions. They will do it all at no charge. Visit them online at frontiermotorsinc.com or stop by their lot on Beverly Parkway. When you're there, don't forget to tell them Dave sent you.
And by the way, we're getting this information out of Consumers Reports, where a couple of years ago was the first time they actually put into writing what I've been talking about for 23 years, that it makes sense to buy a car that's not a brand new one. As soon as you drop it off the lot, your first year is the highest depreciation. Like Dave said, if the biggest depreciation is the first year at $9,200. After that, the second year it's $12,000. After 3 years, you lose $15,000. And I've got a couple examples that I just went into my computer before I came down here to the show. And I'll give you an example. We have an Audi A6 on the lot. That is their flagship car. They make an Audi A8, which is over $100,000. But this A6 has got 550 miles on it, folks. So it's relatively brand new. It's got the window sticker of $71,000. We have the original window sticker for $71,000. We've got it on our lot for $55,000. Folks, that's $16,000 less. It's got 500 miles on it. We have a Buick Enclave on the lot. It's got 4,600 miles, not 46,000, 4,600 miles. The original window sticker, this is a very loaded Enclave. It's not the base model. This window sticker on this vehicle, well, if you go to the Buick lot, is $54,700. We're selling it for $33,500. Now think about that. That's $20,000 less than a new one. Now, some of you smart shoppers are going to say, well, I wouldn't pay $54,000 if I walked in. So let's just say hypothetically, you could buy that $54,700 car for $50,000 after the discount and rebates. We're still saving you $15,000 on a car that's got 4,600 miles on it. We have a Corvette in stock. This is a Z06, which is the high-performance supercharged Corvette. This is one of the coolest Corvettes that I've seen. The window sticker on this car is $93,480. We have it on sale for $59,500. It's got, I think, 10,000 or 9,000 miles on it. Isn't that great? Can you imagine? I feel sorry for the poor guy that bought it for $93,000. And when these came out, they were selling for full list. You couldn't walk in there and get a discount. So if you paid $93,000, you drive it for 9,000 miles. Now you can buy that car for $59,500. These are just some. I've got hundreds of examples. At Frontier Motors, we stock between 350 and 400 cars. Now, some of these cars are inexpensive cars that we've taken on trade. And these are cars that are priced anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. We try to keep at least 50 to 60 cars like that on the lot. The more the better, because there's a lot of people that are buying vehicles. Maybe it's a second or third car. Maybe it's a first-time buyer. Maybe it's just someone that does a Dave Ramsey thing and they want to pay cash for a car. We had a lady in yesterday that had a $40,000 Lexus, and she was doing the down trade. She wanted to trade down on that car and get money back. And this is what I'm talking about, is that we take vehicles like this and trade. The vehicles that we purchase at the auctions are vehicles like the Audi with 500 miles on it. These are vehicles that are clean history report, no accidents. People always say, well, where do you get these cars? Well, that's what my job is. Most of my time is spent buying cars, not selling cars. After being in business for 23 and a half years, we have so many repeat customers. We sell between 150 and 160 cars a month just to our repeats. And then we sell another 40 to 60 cars to new people that are in the area that are just tire kicking, and they see our lot, they come in. But most of our customers are repeat referrals, and you better treat your customers good to be able to get that many customers coming back in to buy a car, because people don't, on used cars, they normally go where the used car is, not at Frontier Motors. And I brought some testimonials with me, if I can find them, where customers have talked about, I guess I didn't bring them, have talked about the experience that they've had at Frontier Motors. And folks, we're a little bit different than most car dealerships. Most people hate buying cars. And they hate buying cars not because they don't want a new car, but they hate the car buying process. It's the old when you walk in, how can I help you? What are you looking for? What's it going to take to get your business today? And that's the old cliche that has been out there for decades and decades. I got in the car business when I was 15 years old. They were using it then, and there's still old-timer salesmen that are using it now. We don't do that at Frontier Motors. We feel that it's our job that when you're looking at a particular vehicle, it's our job to tell you how much that vehicle is going to cost you, give you the best possible deal without doing that back and forth thing, give you a fair market value for your trade-in, show you what the tax differences are if you trade in a car, show you what the fees and the add-ons are up front in writing, and then give you that figure so you can go and shop. Now, why would we do that? As I said before, we better have a really good price. And some people will shop. Some people that have bought from us, they just take our word for it and they'll buy the car right then and there. They've already done the research. These days with the internet, you can already find out what the average selling price of a car is. Now, there's some things that you can't tell. One thing, when you look at a book value, like NEDA or the Kelley Blue Book or the Edmunds, is the book correct or isn't it correct? And one way to find that out is by calling Frontier Motors, because we'll tell you if the book's high or low. Sometimes the books are way too high. In other words, if you buy your banker, an example would be the Audi. If that Audi has a book value of $64,000, well, I can sell the car for $55,000. So you better make sure that when you're looking in the book that you're not paying too much. And also sometimes the books are the opposite. A Jeep Wrangler, for example, an older Wrangler has no book value at all, and they're still bringing anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000, even though the book might say, hey, that thing has been all depreciated down to nothing, it's worth $3,000. Well, you can't find a $3,000 Wrangler anywhere. So in that case, the books are the opposite. And that's why you would call Frontier Motors to find out if the price that you're getting from either a private individual or from your neighbor or from another car dealer, is that a fair price or is it not a fair price? And it goes back to what I was saying before. What do we offer the community? One of the things that we offer is to make sure that you don't get ripped off. We don't always get the sale, but one of the things that I get a lot of times is I get a pat on the back, I get a thank you, and I get a customer saying that, hey, the next time I buy a car, I'm going to see you guys, and everybody else that I run into that's going to be buying a car, I'm going to send them to Frontier Motors because you helped me get a deal even though I wasn't buying from you. So it's not just an advertising ploy to get you into the dealership, it's actually something that we do. And if I'll tell you what, if you're getting a good deal somewhere, I'm going to tell you, that's a good deal, go ahead and buy the car. Sometimes I might have a car like that in stock and we compare it to our car, and if our vehicle is exactly the same, you've already found one and you like the person you're dealing with, maybe it's a relative or a friend, you'd rather buy from them, go ahead and buy it. And sometimes what I can do is give you a value on the vehicle you're driving, because if you're buying it from a private individual, they're probably not going to take a trade-in, so you're always going to try to figure out, well, how am I going to buy this guy's, let's say it's a truck, well, this guy's got a truck for sale, I really like it, I've always wanted a truck like that, or now you got your vehicle and it's a 5-year-old vehicle, it's worth $10,000, and you can't buy the $20,000 truck unless you sell the vehicle. Well, that's where we come in. You come to Frontier Motors, and I'll give you a buy figure on that vehicle. And sometimes you'll be surprised that the buy figure is actually more than what you think it might be worth based on current market value. And we buy anywhere from 5 to 15 cars every week from private individuals that have heard the show, that come in, and I tell them, I give them this thing, this little spiel that we give you, I can give you a buy figure in 15 minutes, unless it's a 150,000 mile car and I've got to do an inspection on it. But if you've got a vehicle that's 5 to 7 years old, it's got less than 100,000 miles on it, within 15 minutes, I can tell you what the book value is, and I can tell you what I'll write you a check for. And a lot of times people will call up the Uber and then get a ride home if they get the title in their back pocket, because I'll write them a check and away they go. And if it's close by, we'll even give you a ride home. So these are some of the things that we can offer. One of the other things I want to talk about also is that if you get into a car accident, especially if it's a moderate or major accident, you want to make sure that you stop in Frontier Motors and get some advice. The first thing we can tell you is how much the insurance company should be paying you for that car if that car gets totaled. So I'm not saying they're trying to rip you off. Sometimes they're very fair with you. Sometimes they're a little bit light in what they should be giving you for the car based on not so much just book value, but also current market value. As I said before, if it's a Jeep Wrangler, you can throw the book away. If you total your Wrangler, they should be paying you maybe $10,000 and the book says it's worth $5,000. So we will give you comparables. The other thing that I think is very important, and we get probably 2 or 3 people a day walking in asking for a diminished value letter in writing. Now what's diminished value? Diminished value is what happens to your car in case it's been in an accident. Especially, again, if it's a moderate or a major accident. And this can be in an older car, it can be a newer car. Now, if the vehicle is 10 years old, has 100,000 miles on it, you're probably not going to have a lot of diminished value because it's not worth that much anyways. But let's say that you're driving a $30,000 car and somebody rams into you and you have $15,000 worth of damage and they're going to fix the car. They're not going to total it, which, by the way, the insurance company does not have to total your car. It's up to them whether they're going to total it or not. It's not up to you. Some people say, well, I want a new car out of this. And the insurance company says, no, I'm going to fix it. Well, now what happens is the Carfax report is going to say major accident reported. Well, what does that do to your value of your car if you want to trade it? Let's say in 6 months from now you want to trade it in. The resale value can be diminished as much as $5,000, even $6,000, depending the type of accident it was, the type of car that you have, and the dollar amount of accident. We will put a letter in writing for you telling you this is how much we're going to reappraise your car for, and the insurance company of the other person that hit you should be paying for that in the form of a check so you can use it when you get that lower appraisal. And now, folks, by the way, this only works if it wasn't your fault. If you run into a tree tomorrow morning, they're going to fix your car. That's what insurance is for, but they're not going to give you diminished value because it was your fault. This is for somebody that runs a red light and T-bones you, and the car does not get totaled. Sometimes we can even help you get it totaled by giving you what we feel the value is. And if my car was in a major accident, I would want a new car. I don't think I'd want them to put it back together, because it's one of those things like you never know. So again, Frontier Motors has been around for a long, long time. We are the go-to dealer for free advice. So if you're thinking about buying a new car, you can call us up and I can tell you what the dealer paid for that car. We have all the new car cost guides, which gives me the retail, also the markup, the percentage of markup, and what the dealer cost is. Now, wouldn't that be helpful if you're going to go in and negotiate a car? The second thing we'll do is we'll tell you about the reliability factor of that car. We subscribe to all the consumers' reports. We know exactly, not only based on consumers' reports, how the brands stack up, but based on our experience from selling certain cars on the lot, which ones that we would recommend and which ones we wouldn't recommend, whether they be new or whether they be used. A lot of cars that maybe 5 years ago I wouldn't recommend, I would recommend now, and I'll give you an example. A BMW is one of them. I'm not a fan of the older BMWs. I've had a lot of problems with them. They're very expensive to fix. They've had a lot of oil leaks. They've had electrical problems. And a 7 or 8 year old BMW, I don't really want to have anything to do with it. But the newer ones are pretty darn good. The reliability is a lot better than it used to be. And now I'm getting to the point where I would actually recommend a BMW. I've got the same thing with the Mercedes. Not a fan of Mercedes. I was born in Germany. I should be a BMW and a Mercedes fan. The old Mercedes I had nothing but trouble with because I know I sold them. I have people coming on lot. I want to buy a Mercedes. Of course we're going to sell you a Mercedes, especially for the people that don't ask our opinion. But if you're going to ask my opinion about a 10-year-old Mercedes, I'd say stay away. 10-year-old BMW, I'd say stay away. 10-year-old Lexus, I said no problem. 10-year-old Toyota, I would say no problem. Heck, I'd rather tell you to go buy a 10-year-old Chevy than I tell you to buy a 10-year-old Mercedes or BMW, but not with the newer ones, folks. The newer ones are much better, and I'm happy to say that. And Consumers Reports even says that the newer vehicles have a lot less issues than the older ones. Do they still have issues? Yes, they do. They still got 20,000 moving parts. That 1% goes wrong, you got a problem. They still have lemon law buybacks in Orlando. They have a lane just for lemon law buybacks. And guess what, folks? Every manufacturer has lemons. The nice thing is they're disclosed. They get stamped on the title. Sometimes there are little things that are fixed properly. I don't buy any lemon law buybacks. There are some dealerships that's what they sell. The reason is because they get them cheaper, because a lot of people are scared. Just like a vehicle that's been totaled. We don't sell vehicles that have been totaled. Some dealerships, that's what they specialize in because they're cheaper. It's all about the price. We don't put everything on the price, we put it on the product. When we put a vehicle on our lot, we want to make sure that it passes your inspection, not just our inspection, which means when you open the door, that it doesn't smell. When you look down the side of the vehicle, that there are no dings and there's no scratches. When you look at the tires, they pass inspection. When you get the vehicle inspected, you get the thumbs up. And that's the type of vehicle that we want to have on our lot, because we don't want to have disgruntled customers. We don't want to sell a car, like I was talking about the older BMWs years ago, that we sell and the customer come back and say, man, I had nothing but problems with that car. We don't want that. And that's one of the reasons that I subscribe to Consumers Reports, so I know what they say. And I also know from my experience whether they're correct or whether they're not correct. And that's where we give you what we were talking about before, is that free advice. And we are the go-to dealer if you need to buy a car, even if it's personal things. I had a customer come in a couple of months ago and they wanted me to do a bill of sale from them because they were buying a relative's car. So we had a blank bill of sale that we gave them. We can notarize for you. We've got a notary in the dealership, but then we don't charge for it. These are the things that we offer the people in the Pensacola community to let you know that we're not there just to grab your wallet and sell you a car. We're there to make a relationship that you know that we're a car dealership that you can go to, that any type of advice that you have, that we're going to help you out. And again, we do this for a reason. We love doing it because we know that if we do something for nothing for you, and then when you are in the market, where are you going to go to first? The person that helped you. Or where are you going to send your kids or your relatives or your neighbors or anybody that you work with when they say, or somebody that's new in the community, say, where should we go to buy a car? Go see Frontier Motors, they're great. And that's what we want to hear. We want to hear that we are a different type of dealership, that we are there to help you. And a lot of times that goes into selling you a car. And we want to build a relationship. Like we had one of our customers, his name is Joe. He didn't give me permission to use his last name. But Joe came in and bought another car yesterday afternoon. I thanked him for coming in. I believe that's over 30 cars that Joe has bought in 23 years. That's the type of relationship that we'd love to build. Only got a couple of minutes left, folks. Again, we're on Facebook right now. You can go to YouTube, by the way. We're going to have this show on YouTube, and there's a couple of other our shows on there. So if you've got somebody that's new in the community and you want to let them know about Frontier Motors, they can pull up Frontier Motors on YouTube and watch the show. It gives you some of the things that we do. You can also go to frontiermotorsinc.com. Our website is phenomenal. We get a lot of accolades on our website. Very easy to maneuver, very easy to find a car for you. Again, between 350 and 400 vehicles. They all have got prices on there, and they all have links to the Carfax at no charge, which a lot of dealerships, you click on their Carfax report and they charge you $40. You click on ours, it's no charge. We're not hiding anything from a customer. By the way, we put our Carfax reports in every single glove box, so you don't even have to ask for them. Cars are unlocked, look in the glove box, you'll see the history report of that car. That's Frontier Motors. We've been here in the Pensacola community for 23 years. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Can't be beat, don't overpay. Come in today, doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.